Yes, this is The Secret Doctrine, page 390, and it reads, "It matters little whether it is Isis or Croesus, the Cabiri, or again the Kabiri, who have taught men agriculture, the very important to prevent fanatics from monopolizing all the facts in history and legend, and from fathering their distortions of truth, history, and legend upon one man. Noah is either a myth along with others, or one whose legend was built upon the Cabeirian or Titanic tradition as taught in Samothrace. He has therefore no claim to be monopolized by either Jew or Christian. If, as Faber tried to demonstrate, at such a cost of learning and research, Noah is an Atlantean and a Titan, and his family are the Kabiri or Poius Titans, etc., then biblical chronology fails by its own weight, and along with all the patriarchs, the antediluvian and pre-Atlantean Titans. As now discovered and proven, Cain is Mars, the god of power and generation, of the first sexual bloodshed." And then the footnote goes down with a cross. It says, "As he is also Vulcan or Vulcain, the greatest god with the later Egyptians, and the greatest Kabir. The god of time was Chiam in Egypt, or Saturn or Seth, or Chiam as the same as Cain." Going back to the reading, Tubal-Cain is a Kabir, an instructor of every artificer in brass and iron. Or, if this will please better, he is one of the Hephaestus or Vulcan. Jabal is taken from the Cabeiri, instructors in agriculture, such as have cattle, and Jubal is the father of all those who handle the harp. He or they who fabricated the harp for Kronos and the trident for Poseidon. Next page. The history or fables about the mysterious Telchines fables, echoing each and all their archaic events of esoteric teaching, furnish us with a key to the origin of Cain's genealogy. Genesis chapter 3. They give the reason why the Roman Catholic Church identifies the accursed blood of Cain and Ham with sorcery and makes it responsible for the deluge. Were not the Telchines, it is argued, the mysterious ironworkers of Rhodes, they who were the first to raise the statues of God, furnish them with weapons and men with magic arts? And is it not they who were destroyed by the deluge at the command of Zeus, and the Cainites were by that of Jehovah or Yahweh? The Telchines are simply the Cabeiri and Titans. In another form, they are Atlanteans also. Like Lemnos, Samothrace says, Darcham, quote, "Rhodes, the birthplace of the Telchines, is an island of volcanic formation." Genie of Fire, page 271. The island of Rhodes emerged suddenly out of the seas, after having been previously engulfed by the ocean, says the traditions. Like Samothrace of the Cabeiri, it is connected in the memory of men with the flood legends. As enough has been said on this subject, however, it may be left for the... Oh no. Sorry about that. Here's the next page. But we may add a few more words about Noah, the Jewish representative of nearly every pagan god in one or another character. The Homeric songs contain poeticized all the later fables about the patriarchs, who are all sidereal, cosmic, or numerical symbols and signs. The attempt to disconnect the two genealogies, those of Seth and Cain, and the further attempt as futile to show them real and historical men, has only led to the more serious inquiries into the history of the past, and to the discoveries which have damaged forever the supposed revelation. For instance, the identity of Noah and Melchizedek being established, the further identity of Melchizedek, or Father Sadiq, with Cronus Saturn is proved also. That is That it is so may easily be demonstrated. It is not denied by any of the Christian writers. Source: Bryant, Analysis of Ancient Mythology, Volume 2, page 760. Concurs with all those who are of the opinion. Now the footnote says, nothing could be more awkward and childish. We say that this fruitless attempt to disconnect the genealogies of Cain and Seth, or to conceal their identities of names under a different spelling. Thus Cain has a son Enoch, and Seth a son Enoch, also Enos, Chanot, and Hanot. One may do what one likes. Hebrew unavailed names. In the Cainite line, Enoch begins Irad, Mehuel, the later Methusiel, and Methusiel and Lamech. In the Sethite line, Enoch begets Canaan, and this one Mehelu, a variation of Mehuel, who gives birth to Jared, or Irad. Jared to Enoch, number 3, who produces Methuselah. From Methuselah, and finally Lamech closes the list. Now all these are symbols Kabbalistically of solar and lunar years, of astronomical periods, and physiological phallic functions, just as in any other pagan symbol creed. This has been proven by a number of writers. Next page. Sadik was the patriarch Noah, as Melchizedek, and that name by which he is called, or Sadik, corresponds to the character given him in Genesis. He was Sadik, a just man. Sadik means just man, and perfect in all of his generations. All science and every useful art were attributed to him, and through his sons transmitted posterity. Now it is Sancho Nyathon who informs the world that the Kabiri, the sons of Sadik, or Zedek, Melchizedek. True enough, this information having descended to us through Eusebius, preparation of evangelical preparation, may be regarded with a certain amount of suspicion, as it is more likely that he is dealt with Sancho Nyathon's works as he is with Manetho's synchronistic tables. But let us suppose that the identity of Sadik, Kronos, and Saturn with Noah and Melchizedek is based on one of the Eusebian Poius hypothesis. Let us accept it as such, along with the Noah's characteristics of a just man, and his supposed duplicate, the mysterious Melchizedek, king of Salem, and the priest of the high god after his own order. And finally, having seen what they all were spiritually and astronomically, physically and cosmically, let us now see what they become rabbinically and kabbalistically. This is the last part. Speaking of Adam, Cain, Mars, and personifications, we find the author of The Source of Measures insinuating our very esoteric teachings of this kabbalistic researches. Thus he says, quote, now Mars was the lord of birth and the death of generations, of destruction, or plowing a building, or sculptor, or stone cutting of architecture, in fine, of all the arts. He was the primeval principle disintegrated into the modifications of two opposites for production. Astronomically, too, he held the birthplace of the day and the year, the place of its increase in strength, Aries, likewise the place of his death, Scorpio. He held the house of Venus and that of Scorpion. He, as birth was good, as death was evil. As good he was light, and bad he was night. As good he was man, as bad he was woman. He held the cardinal points, and as Cain or Vulcan or Peter Sadik Melchizedek, he was the lord of the ecliptic. And the footnote is the only name of Mars in Greek Ares is the name over the etymological significance of which philologists and Indians, Greek Sanskrit scholars have vainly worked to this day. Very strangely, Max Muller connects both the names Mars and Ares with the Sanskrit root mar, whence he traces the derivation, and from which he says the name merits the storm god comes. Welker, however, offer more correct etymologies. However, it may be etymologies of roots and words alone will never yield the esoteric meaning fully, though they may help to useful guesses. The next footnote, as the same author shows, the very name Vulcan appears in the reading form. The first words of chapter 4 chapter 4 in Genesis 5 is to be found Volcane or Vulcan, agreeably to depend on the U sound in the letter Val out of its immediate context. The next deal, balance and line adjustment, therefore, was a just one. The ancients held to there being 7 planets, a great gods growing out of 8, and Pater-Satic, the just right one, or Noah, was the lord of the 8th, and was the Mater Terra, the source of measures. This makes their functions plain enough after they had been degraded and established identity. The Noachian deluge, as described in its dead letter and within the period of biblical chronology, have been shown to have never existed. The pious but very arbitrary supposition of Bishop Cumberland has but to follow that the deluge in the land of fiction, which is not true. Indeed, it seems rather fanciful to any partial observer to be told that there were 2 distinct races of Cabeiri, the first consisting of Ham and Mizraim, whom he conceived to be Jupiter and Dionysus of Minos, the second of the children of Shem, and Cabeiri of Sochonistan, while their father Siddiq is consequently the scriptural Shem. The Kaberim, the mighty ones, are identical with our primeval Dian Chohans, with the corporeal and incorporeal Pitris, with all the rulers and instructors of the primeval races, which are referred to as the gods and kings of divine dynasties. Basically, all these lowercase g gods are Elohim that God appointed to the nations. In Deuteronomy 32, I believe verse 8, you will see, at least in the old Dead Sea Scrolls translations and in the Septuagint LLX, Father God, the Almighty, appointed sons of God to each nation. And then you see further in Psalm 82, God calls all the gods to a court, and he judges those gods in a divine council. These are all these pagan gods. The author is trying to do comparative mythology in such an exhaustive way. This is a book filled with so much lore and mystery. You gotta weed through, the tares and the sticker bushes and find the wheat and find the wisdom. Not everything in this book is plausible or good or true. It was written in the 1800s, but there's a lot of good wisdom and a lot of good diamonds and gold you can find throughout all these writings. And that's all I have today. Thank you very much. Peace.